To say Inazuma pushed this character to the brink, it will be a real understatement. But after all the struggle, they still managed to pass it, and defeat all the bosses the land of Electro have pit against them. And now it's time to move on to Sumeru. And let's see what trial this team will need to face in the land of wisdom. The game have given us this character for free, and now it's time to head to the land where elementary mastery is important. So let's hope the elements this game brings is enough. Hi everyone, I'm Tigris, and welcome back to my channel. This is part 4 of my starter slash guarantee character challenge, and this time we're heading to Sumeru. Just like the previous challenges and nation, the team comp is not gonna change, just to make it a bit more challenging for me. The team members are Ling, Barbara, Kea, and Noel. Now the introduction is complete, let's get this challenge started. Starting off with the Electro Resist fight. Now this fight is relatively easy. I say relatively because my team has no height. It was really difficult to hit the Corolla, but other than that, with the element we have and every single one of it can react with Esper, the fight itself wasn't difficult. It's more time consuming because I took forever to break the Corolla, but once it's down, this boss is down for. So yeah, it wasn't a difficult fight. For this boss, all you have to do is elemental reaction. So yeah, it wasn't that hard, and watch the HP go down right after I can trigger them. It was close though, it already got up by the time I ended. Next up is the Jet Plume, another easy boss. Just like the Electro Regifine, this boss is just elemental reaction. If you do enough reaction, the boss is going to go down. All that really changed is the element they are resistant to. The Electro Regifine is Electro, the Jet Plume is Dendro. So for any new players that wish to play Genshin and want a good challenge, or simply only wish to use the starter or guarantee character, all you have to do is don't use Lisa against the Electro Regifine and don't use Holly against the Jet Plume. The starter and guarantee characters come in all 7 elements, use them. Just don't use an element that the boss is resistant or immune to. You will definitely do no damage, so be smart. If you're only gonna build a few characters, the team is gonna be strong no matter what, because you can spend more resources on them instead of spreading out like I do. So don't do what I do, especially when coming to building a character. If you have played for a while and you have enough resources to build multiple characters, then go for it. Of course, if you're only planning to build the 10 characters that the game gives you, there won't be much of an issue. Especially when the 10 characters are mostly for Mondstadt and Liyue. This is except Collei, Lynette, and Kachina. But given that Sumeru, Fontaine, and Netland is unlocked by AR25, there shouldn't be much of an issue. I built a lot of characters for these challenges, so most of my teams are actually averagely built except for my main teams. So most of the challenge characters are actually built specifically to challenge bosses. Just like this team is entirely built based on ER, except for Noel of course, who is based on defense. Barbara is actually based on HP, but still mostly ER. By the way, this fight with the Drake took about 6 minutes because I do not have an archer on my team. And when it flies, all I can do is stare at it. There's only 2 archers that the game gives you, which is Ember and Collei. Unless you build Ember really strong, I would suggest bringing Collei. No offense to Ember, but her scaling is a bit low. When I spin that wheel, I was hoping so hard that I won't get Ember. I'd rather have Lisa, because Electro does do a lot of damage when they react. And while Pyro is amazing, I'm a Pyro main by the way, the problem is Ling does so much better. The only benefit Ember will have over Ling is that she is a bow character. My honest opinion on Ember is that she is Constellation locked. Unlocking her Constellation does help you out a lot, especially for those Ember mains out there. I've seen millions of damage for Ember. Unfortunately for me, I have a C0 Ember. If the wheel somehow chose Ember, all she's gonna do is put down her burst, and occasionally throw out Baron Bunny. It's not worth using any normal attack on Ember because you're gonna see a lot of double digits. When I say Ember, I mean my Ember. She is level 50. I used her in the beginning because I did not have any other archer character. My second archer character was Ylan. So you can imagine how long I took to get another archer character. If you're wondering why I didn't get college, because when I started this game, I did not have any guide. I didn't look at any guide, I was playing it blind. And I did not read that I can get college for free if I do the Abyss. In fact, up to AR30, I did not know you can level artifact. It's a surprise that I didn't die so many times in the beginning. After I realized I can level artifact, it took me another 5 AR to realize the threat bonus. Yes, it was that bad. By the way, did you guys realize how many times the Drake got resistant to? And how many elements it got resistant to? Because I took so long to kill it, it changed element like 6-7 times. Rotating within the 4 of course. And if you think the Drake took me forever, Winner felt like forever at least. For Winner the HP is not that high, but because it wouldn't stay still, it took me forever to kill it. But because resistance is actually better than the Drake, it actually took me less hit. It just felt like forever. And since this team has no height, I couldn't break his balls. So I'm gonna let you imagine how long it took to defeat this boss. Spoiler alert, is shorter than the Drake, but it still felt like forever. That is the only time I destroyed the ball, and that's because Barbara's burst timing was perfect. I tried to do it again after this, but it didn't work. Anyway, back to the topic I was talking about earlier. Yes, it took me around 40 AR to understand the game to a certain extent, because I have no guide, no one to show me anything. I have no friend that time. My friend list was 0. After that, I discovered Hoyo Lab, and then I discovered a lot of content creators, which I'm surprised I didn't watch before I played the game. Like I said before, I entered the game blind. Just because I played multiple games before and I always enter them blind. So Genshin actually was a surprise to me. Of course, it's dumb for me to not assume that the artifact couldn't be leveled up, since artifacts in other games could be leveled up. I guess because the stats weren't that bad, even at level 0. Anyway, my own experience is what led me to doing this. I guess I want to at least be a guide to someone else, and to the new player in the game. As for the whole challenge thing, that's just to make it a bit more interesting for me. Just listening to me talking about theories and gaming mechanics is kinda boring, don't you think? So at the end of the day, I decided to make it a challenge. At least I have a bit of fun doing it. And you guys get the fun to watch me struggle. So that's a win-win in my book. By the way, I might be splitting Fontaine and Netland to half for this team and the next challenge I got in mind. The length of my videos are getting longer, from Mondstadt right up to Inazuma. And now Sumeru. Mondstadt only took this team 15 minutes. D-Way took 18 minutes. Inazuma 22 minutes. And Sumeru is basically the same with Inazuma. And this is after I split up the fight. Can you imagine how long this video is gonna be if I leave the fight at the same speed? We will be looking at an hour-long video, or even longer, especially for nations like Fontaine and Netland. So I'm planning to split the video into 2. Currently there is 7 overworld boss in both Fontaine and Netland, and 2 weekly. With 5.8 coming out, I won't be surprised if there is another overworld boss for Netland. At least that's what I assume based on the trailer. So how am I going to divide the part? It will be 5 overworld boss for part 1, 2 overworld boss, and the 2 weeklies for part 2. So if there is a new boss coming out at 5.8, part 1 will be 5 overworld boss, and part 2 will be the 3 remaining overworld boss with the 2 weeklies. I feel like that is the only way I can maintain this video to be less than 20 minutes because I do not want the video to be too long. The previous team don't have an issue with this because despite being a challenge, they actually do decent damage. But if I'm going to play around with 4 stars, the damage is really lacking. So after thinking for a while, I think this is the best way I can do this. I don't think it's going to affect the schedule so much, it's just an extension of a week. Plus it will probably help me out with the banners. To those who are new here, if you do not know, if I get wiped in any of the challenges, I will do a tempo on the current banner. So taking advantage of this, I might get better characters later on if I have to do a tempo. Like I say, it's a win-win in everyone's book. So I don't really regret it. I just trying to keep it under 20 minutes. That's the only thing I'm actually aiming for. By the way, for new players that are watching this, if you do not know, you can defeat the Dendro hypostasis without Dendro. All you need is Hydro to plop Bloom. Since Bloom is considered Dendro damage, the boss is actually hurting himself. The only issue is you have to keep yourself alive because Bloom hurt you as well. So basically, in the final stage, we're just yelling at the boss, "Come on, let's take each other down and see who lasts longer." Having Electro here does speed up the thing, but at the end of the day, Barbara is enough. Our little Deaconess is actually really strong at healing, so all the damage that they take is just brutal. So if you're doing this without using the challenge mechanic, bring Coley, bring Lisa. It took this team 9 minutes to defeat the Dendro hypostasis. With Coley and Lisa, this fight would have only taken like 2 minutes max. Do the mechanic, people, do the mechanic. Especially for the new players. Do not do all these crazy stunts. I'm just showing you that it's doable. Please don't do it. One more round should do it. The problem is with that one round, it's gonna take a while. By the way, for those who are wondering how I can switch out of Noelle's burst and then switch back and she still have her burst, that's because I have C6. C0 do not do that, please do not switch her around like that. C6 Noelle allow you to slow down her duration for her burst, then switch out. Next up, my test dummy number 2 after the Registine. This boss don't do much. He just stay there and take everything, which is why it's such a good test dummy. The two things that a test dummy needs is 1, they need a lot of HP, 2, they need to stay still. The stay still part can be by knockdown, but to knock them down is trouble. So I prefer bosses that already start staying still from the beginning. That's why my test dummy number 3 is the Yumpasaurus, the Mountain King. If I need to choose a weekly boss as a test dummy, it would probably be Raiden. Out of all the weekly boss, I think she stays still the most and she has decent HP. Most of the other weekly boss either have knockback or they tend to run around a lot, or in Chell's case, has a HP that is way too low. In Andrew's case, it's not the HP part that is the problem, it's the fact that he has 2 phases and he tends to run around. The Vardin on the other hand has low HP, Azaha tends to knock back, Signora has 2 phases with annoying mechanics, and her colleague the Valedict has the same issue. Apex has 3 phases, which just make it way more annoying. The Will has 2, Alucino has 2. The Dragon tends to run around, and the King and Queen has 2 phases. Technically, Raiden has 2 phases as well, but you can one-shot her. That's the difference. You can argue that you can one-shot the Will as well, but they tend to run around a lot during the start. And if you don't aim it right, you're not gonna get it. Oh no, this boss is so annoying. It's so weird that he gets his shield back so quickly after you knock it down. I mean, with strong team you can one-shot it in like 3-4 hits. But in normal team, you need to break the shield like 20 times. At least the shield gets easier to break every time. But it's still annoying that I have to spend so much time breaking the shield over and over again. Having Zhangli burst out for this team is the best right now, because the boss is dropping Hydro, Cryo and Electro. Too bad my Zhangli burst did not recharge fast enough. The problem with this team is because they recharge their energy based on the number of opponents they defeat or hit. And since we are in a boss battle, the number of opponents is 1, the number of boss that you hit is 1, so they regain like 1 energy. So getting the burst recharge actually took some time, despite being built all on energy recharge. As I have said before, this team relies heavily on their burst. But unfortunately, recharging their burst in a boss fight is not the best idea. Even so, this fight only took about 3 minutes. That's because at the end, having a shield doesn't matter. I'll break it in one hit because the shield do get weaker every single time. I guess there is an advantage to having multiple elements in your team. And that marks the end of this fight, and to move on to the weeklies. The Balladeer. Here we come. I do not have Skara on my team, so I actually enjoy listening to his voice in the game. For the first phase, I don't think I even think about dodging or do anything else other than attack blindly. Because yes, while the Balladeer do huge damage, I have Nora and Barbara. And if you dodge, it tends to cost you more damage than less attack. Other than that, this boss is basically a mechanic dust. You use mechanic throughout the entire game, and you can beat him easily. His damage is not that high, despite getting hit so many times. You can easily heal through it or shield it. The second phase is basically based on Nahida Little Pet, especially for this team. But if you do manage to break the terminal, the damage resistance drop is huge, which is why this boss is normally shown for damage showcase. But I find that kind of boring. What's the point of showcasing against a boss with 90% extra damage taken? So I guess if you want to do big numbers, that is the best way. By the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing with Noelle here, I'm just trying to get back her burst. My friends say you can hit the Akasha terminal using Noelle burst during the 4th attack. Probably. I doubt it that she can break all of them in time, so I didn't really try. But I do want to regain her burst one way or another. So even if I didn't break the Akasha terminal, the damage is there ready to fight him later on. Spoiler alert, I couldn't get her burst back on time and I didn't break the Akasha terminal. One day I might try to do it with Noelle, but that day is not today. So now, who should we sacrifice? At the end of the day, I chosen Barbara because I figured she can heal herself back fast enough. Not that I remember to heal her using her own abilities, since I use food. By the way, that's the only time in the entire of Sumeru I use food. This team is so tanky, the only problem is damage output. Luckily for this boss, it doesn't matter, because one way or another, Nahida Little Pet is gonna take him down. In fact, there have been showcases where no one do anything, and just stay alive. As long as you survive phase 1, Skara is basically a boss that anyone can take on. So that is mainly because Nahida is helping. By the way, if you think I took forever with the previous boss, this one took eternity. This one took really long. And it's not because he has 3 phases. Well, it's kinda because he has 3 phases. If you pay attention, you'll notice I only burst once during the first phase. And after that, I'm not going to use my burst even though it recharged during the first phase again. This is because I need to charge my burst. After the last challenge with the standard banner characters against this boss, I realized this boss isn't hitting me hard enough that I can die from it. But the main problem is we do not do enough damage to defeat the thing that is attacking the heart in the second phase. That is why I'm saving the burst, hoping that the damage is good enough to hold on. Anyway, that's why the first phase was extended a bit. Could I have finished it faster? Probably. Do I want to? No, I want to just back my burst. Once I failed this challenge because I ended up couldn't protect the heart long enough. To my defense, I wasn't looking behind me. The problem with phase 2 isn't durability of our own character, it's more the durability of the boss. If you don't kill it fast enough, the heart of Oasis will get attacked. And if you fail to protect the heart of Oasis, you fail the challenge. By the way, for new players, this boss is very annoying. It has a lot of phases and a lot of type of boss during this phase. For new players, if you want to read it up, you should check online because each of the 6 unique monsters, they have their own mechanic. Most of them are easy, all you have to do is kill them. But there are certain out of the 6 where you have to kill a certain monster first before you can kill the other one. And if you don't do so, you do no damage. Which is why out of the 3 Apex phases, this is the most annoying one to me. The first one and the third one is just a survival map. And given that certain team like this one is so durable, that's not much of an issue. Of course, like I say, the burst combined Chaos and Soundlings is extremely efficient here. Add Barbara and you're looking at a nuke. And since for one we're not fighting just one opponent, they get their burst a lot faster back. Unlike the first phase, I'm not worried about saving this one for Apex third phase. Cause here is just another survival fight. For survival fight for this team, I don't need to worry about damage output. If I need to tickle it to death, then I'll tickle it to death. My priority was phase 2, because there is a big chance if I don't do it right, it could reset. Or in my case, loss. So as a result, I need to calculate properly that I don't fail phase 2, so I don't have to end up pulling a 10 pull for a boss which I know I can beat. This fight did not take very long after this. Every time I burst, this boss is getting chunked off. Even if I don't, the damage output isn't that bad. If you total everything together, it's like 20,000 per hit, so that's not bad. For new players that use these characters, just remember, the real problem is phase 2. Phase 1 and phase 3 is nothing. I mean, if you hack a boss slowly to death, it's still gonna die. It's just gonna take forever. And now we're done. And that marks the end of Sumeru. As per schedule, Fontaine, the first part at least, is gonna be out on Saturday. And part 2 will be out next week Wednesday. Hopefully that will help in shortening the length of the video, because I'm sure you get tired after hearing my voice for 25 minutes. As always, please do like and subscribe if you like the video. It does motivate me to keep going on. And as fun as this is, I really like to watch the view number going up sometimes. So your views are appreciated, truly appreciated by me. 5.8 starts today, so for those who pulling for Inafa, good luck! I wish you the best for your pulls. May you all win your 50/50s and get early 5 stars. Anyway, see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye!